Today is March 26th of 2020, and I wanted to make this video about being in the tiny house during this whole experience of the COVID-19 outbreak, because this is a really different experience than really any of us have ever had before. And I think it's particularly unique for us because this is the most time that I've ever spent in the tiny house. Our 192 square feet is where Red and I are quarantined during this whole time of social distancing. So the situation for us right now is that I got laid off last Friday. The outpatient clinic that I work at decided that because we work with high-risk population, I would say like 90% of my caseload for therapy are people over 60 years old, and a lot of them have a list of comorbidities. So they are in that high-risk category, and even though therapy is something that is technically in the medical field and could be considered essential, we really made the judgment call that the risk of passing the disease around, or the infection I should say, was greater than the benefit that our patients were going to be getting from attending therapy at that point, because the services that we provide are really helpful and important, and they improve people's quality of life, but we don't work in a setting where the services that we provide are life-sustaining. So this is the first time that I've ever been laid off in my 10 years of being a therapist, so I consider myself extremely lucky because of that. I also consider myself really lucky because I love my house, and this is my 4th day of being home with Redford because Patrick is still working, of course, and I really, really like my house. So it's really not that bad of a situation right now for me, and I'm trying to take the opportunity to work on stuff that has been on my to-do list forever, and I just haven't had time. When I'm working full-time, a lot of things fall to the bottom of the to-do list and the little projects stack up. So I'm using all this time to really try to keep myself occupied, because that's really important during this time, is to stay busy and engaged, but also to really be grateful for the things that we have, even if it's just 192 square feet of space. The other thing that I'm really grateful for right now is this guy. You can't see him, he's sleeping. So during this whole process, Redford has, of course, been the best company ever. He sleeps a lot, which I guess I kind of knew when we go to work. He sleeps a lot, which has been good. It's let me get work done, but of course when I'm ready to go outside and get some exercise, some fresh air, he is all about that. So having Red during this whole experience has really, really been great. One important point that I like to make about the tiny house was when we were moving into the tiny house, I was really excited that I was going to spend less time overall cleaning, which is absolutely true, right? We only have 1 bathroom instead of 3. We only have this area that's like living room, kitchen combined, so I don't have all of these different rooms that I have to clean regularly. So it's definitely less overall time, but the thing that you don't realize is that since everything is high traffic area and high use area, things get dirty faster. You have to vacuum pretty much every day, especially if you have a dog. You have to dust super regularly. You just have to clean more frequently because the dirt from 2 people and a dog is concentrated into a smaller area, and everything is high use, so everything gets dirty faster and you have to clean more frequently. Something I didn't realize before we lived in the tiny house. So the deal with Patrick's job right now is that since he works in law enforcement, they are going to an emergency schedule. they do this switch when there's a hurricane or some other sort of natural disaster, or in this case, the COVID-19 pandemic. They go on to an emergency schedule where they work this really weird 12-hour shift that kind of changes all the time. I don't really understand it, but he's going to be working 12-hour days for at least the next month. So that's going to be really challenging for him. We're super lucky that he's on day shift, because if he was on a night shift and he was sleeping while I have to be in the tiny house, we've done that before and it's challenging. We've gotten through it. We did that for the first 5.5 years of our relationship. We had opposite schedules and we made it work, but it is really challenging, especially in the tiny house. So since he's going to be on day shift, that is a huge help for us, that I can still get things done during the day and feel like I'm being productive, and he can go to work and actually sleep at night, which is so much better for his health as well. So I'm really happy about that, even though the 12-hour shift is really less than ideal for him. All right, now the kitchen is empty, or the contents of the kitchen are kind of here in the house. And now I'm going to go through and just scrub everything down and spray it with our favorite cleaner. And I use these reusable little scrubbing pads. So they have a soft fuzzy side, and then they have kind of a rough scrubby side. It's all soapy right now. But that's what we use to wash our dishes. And then after every single use, you take one and you throw it in the washing machine. So you're always using a clean one every single time. We have a whole bunch of them in our little drawer. And I like that so much better than having a sponge and leaving the sponge on the countertop and using that every time you wash your dishes. I just find that it works better. You don't have a smelly old sponge hanging around. These top shelves up here, I love these. We got 2 of them at, I think it was like Home Goods or something, because they have these little designs on here, but look at how the cobwebs just kind of cling to them. That's one of the bad things about having something a little bit more ornate. Definitely harder to clean. The simpler shelves, I think, are going to be a lot easier for me to clean. When all of this stuff really started out, people were going to the grocery stores and just like buying everything. One of the downsides of living in such a small space is you don't have a ton of room for storage. Right behind me, these cabinets from IKEA are basically like our pantry. We have 3 cabinets right there. I put some stuff above them for a little extra room, and then we put in these 2 shelves underneath. Sometimes if we need a little extra space, I'll put things on top of the fridge, although I don't really think you're supposed to do that. And of course our fridge is close to full size, but it's like a narrow, tall fridge, which I love our fridge. This is our second one. I'll let you refer to the video of things that have broken in the tiny house that I'm going to film later, about how we ended up with this fridge that I really like. It's the reverse. The freezer's on the bottom, the refrigerator is on the top. So it's not huge. We can't keep a ton of food here, but we always have extra camping food with us. Not so much now because it's the off season, but we did have some stuff that I got out of the Scamp when we finished our last camping trip, canned food and stuff like that. So I feel like we're doing fine on that. And the food stores are still open, so we can still go out. We're just trying to minimize our trips out because Patrick is already in a lot of contact with people. He just can't, there's no way he can avoid it. He has no choice. Some people have to work during this time, and he's one of those people. So he has a really high level of interaction. There's no social distancing when you're a police officer. So I'm trying really hard to limit my contact with people just to minimize our risk overall, because that's the only thing we really have control over right now. So that means me staying home and doing tiny house projects, which there's really no end to them. That can keep me busy for weeks, really. The hard thing is that I can't run out to the hardware store and like grab paint, which is what I really would like to have right now. I have some white paint, but that's it. So I think I'm just gonna go through, do touch-ups. It's also spring right now, so the next thing on my to-do list is spring cleaning. That's another thing. I could probably spend a week doing like a super deep clean through the whole house, like moving furniture, taking things off shelves. That's the next thing that I want to tackle today, is taking everything out of the kitchen, scrubbing the shelves, because the shelves that are right above our stove, so there's the stove, I just cleaned that. Right up here, these shelves kind of get like a little bit of residue on them because we don't have a vent hood, which is one of the things that I would have liked to have in the tiny house, but because we're a 30 amp service, we had to be a little bit selective with what we run off of electricity. That was one of the things that we didn't have put in, and I kind of wish we did, but it is what it is. So we run the mini split when I'm cooking, and that does fine because it's right there, pretty close. But I'm gonna go ahead and clean off all these shelves and move everything around so I can get all the little crumbs and everything that have slipped behind stuff. Alright, the kitchen is clean. Maybe the cleanest that it's been since we've had the house. I don't think I've like really done a deep clean like this in a while. So this is probably a good time for me to talk about the kitchen too, and the way that we decided to set up our kitchen, because when we got the tiny house delivered, the kitchen was empty. We actually opted out of having cabinets. That was one of the options. We could have done a cabinet here and a cabinet here, and I think we could have done another cabinet here, but we left that open for the eventual wood stove. And then we went to IKEA and we got all the storage stuff that we wanted. We decided that we wanted an open kitchen. If we had the cabinets all the way here and there, it really closed off the space. It made the kitchen look pretty cluttered. So we decided that we wanted to just do shelving. So we got most of this stuff at IKEA. So the magnetic holder for the knives, these open shelves are from IKEA, and you can hang hooks on them, which are great. These are our utensil holders, forks, knives, and spoons. And then these I actually got later. They were from, I think I got them on Amazon. They're actually supposed to go in your shower. They're supposed to go in the corner of your bathroom, but I needed something open for onions and garlic and things like that. So those worked out great. I got 3 of them, filled them into the corner there. And then I think this was from Amazon, my spice rack. I got this a little bit later on too. Then I added in the white wooden shelves right there. I think I just got them at the craft store. They're very light. They're just held in with 2 screws. That's where I put my tea. And then those top shelves, I actually got them at Kirkland's, which is like a home goods store. And we added them last. And that's just where I put my stainless steel containers, stuff that I don't have to use that often, like extra rice and stuff like that. But as good as this looks, the thing that's really bothering me right now is the countertop, because, oh my gosh, it looks even worse on camera. This is terrible. When we got this butcher block, it was gorgeous, and I'll show you actually in the corner. Look how pretty that is. It looks so nice. Because the kitchen is such a high use area, specifically like right here. That's where I stand, do all of my cooking, all of my chopping, everything happens right there. The butcher block really hasn't held up super well, so I need to refinish that. I'm just gonna sand it and reseal it, and hopefully I can get it back to the way that it looked before, because it was so pretty, but it really needs a little bit of attention. Hello. No, don't grab any of those things.
That's my shirt. I already had that shirt. That was already there. I'm the one who brought it here. I don't need it. It's not a present. No. No, it's not a present.